Hey there, good people. Matt from William Henry coming at you one more time for a peek behind the curtain. And for this week, a little bit about knife design, which I've been doing for a very long time. And specifically, one of my most recent designs with William Henry, which is the C19 Omni folder. We introduced this knife just about a year ago, not quite a year ago now, after more than a year in development. These things take time. The design, getting it so that first sketch looks good, that's often the quick part. Actually turning it into a reality that will stand the test of time, that takes a little bit longer. So in any case, the C19 Omni, a little bit of inspiration and just a little bit of how I get to where I get in terms of knife design, right? The art and utility, form and function, that mix of aesthetics and performance that can be really revealed in knives and other tools and sort of fine implements. So the C19, I pay attention to sort of the heritage of knives, of pocket knives, through the years, through the generations, heck, through the centuries at this point. And one of the earliest locking mechanisms is just called a lockback. So there's a bar that sits in the middle of the frame of the knife, and a tab in that bar engages a matching notch in the blade and locks the knife open. It's called a lockback or a back lock, depending. And I really love the ceremony of it. Most of those knives they're still made today, are often made with a nail nick in the blade, so that it's a two-hand open. You have to sort of reach into the nail nick and open it. There's a ceremony to it. And then you depress the back of the lock bar to lift it, and that releases the lock, and then you close it with two hands. So there's a ceremonial aspect, and I appreciate that style. I wanted to update it. And for me, blade to handle ratio and the balance between the handle, which is the closed package you're actually going to carry, and then the blade, which is the reveal of the tool that the handle supports, sort of those two things working together, both aesthetically and in terms of performance, are really important in design. One of the things I don't like about traditional lockbacks is you have a lock bar, and this is sort of in the middle of the handle. So you have a lock bar that's going to lock the knife and it pivots. You have a spring that pushes up on the lock bar towards the back of the knife handle, and then there's a housing for that spring. All that stuff has to happen inside of the handle, and that all takes space up, which means that the blade closing into the same handle can't be as big because of those other things sort of impeding or taking up available space in the handle. So it was a long time ago, 17 years ago, I was looking at a lockback and I thought, well, what if I could engineer a completely different spring system that got rid of the need for this long bar and a spring and a housing for the spring? Then I could take this and modernize it in terms of building much better to blade to handle ratio and much nicer proportions in the design. So I did that. I actually patented it successfully. The patent is now expired, so have at it. But what I did was, instead of having a spring in the back of the handle pushing up, I put a wire spring formed into a side cavity around the pivot in the very front of the handle, and it pulls down. Instead of pushing up from the back, you pull down. You get the same mechanics, but now you don't need all of that stuff in the back of the handle. It allows you to open things up, keep it lighter, put a bigger blade into it. So I think when we originally did it, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, it was called the Matlock. But again, that patent is gone, and I didn't use it for a long time. I did a few models with it, won a couple awards, and then went on to other stuff. But for the C19, I brought it back. Enter. This is a prototype of the C19 that I have here in my home office, and you would know that it's prototype because that is a very nicely hand-polished stainless steel blade, not a Damascus blade. All of our production versions are hand-forged Damascus, but these original first 6 prototypes that are all numbered, we actually didn't use Damascus. It was proof of concept, and so this is the one that I have, which is an sort of a first prototype of the all titanium. So what you get is, again, the proportions are really nice. That blade makes sense to that handle. It's comfortable in the hand. It's enough blade to really work with, but then closed. It is also compact enough that it's really easy to carry. With, in this case, a really cool sculpted machine from billet titanium clip, and in other cases a lanyard and a clip case and what we do. So this is the C19, one of the first prototypes. And what I love about the way that I was able to do this lock is it has a thumb stud on both sides, it's completely ambidextrous, so you can certainly open it one-handed, which is sort of modern pocket knives. You can close it ceremonially, where you disengage the lock bar, which I'm doing with my thumb here, and close it. Or, with a little bit of playing around, you can use your middle finger, which I'm showing here, to actually start to push that lock bar, and then I use my leading finger to close the knife. Left-handed. Same idea. So now you see it, and then, sorry, get my hands right for you on the camera, and now you don't. So it's completely ambidextrous. It is still, once you play around with the system a little bit, really easy to operate with one hand or to do it in a more ceremonial fashion. But the simplicity of this formed wire spring that sort of happens off to the side in the very front of this of that locking mechanism means that the whole back of the handle can be open. I don't need a whole bunch of stuff. You see how small this lock bar is, and the rest of the handle is open. And what that means is it's lighter weight, and what it means is that I can get these kind of proportions, where that blade, this is a very modern design, and a lot of more traditional designs, call them designs from the past, that use this kind of a locking idea, had much more compact, narrower blades relative to the handle profile because of all that stuff that had to happen in the back. So I've been talking at you a lot. I hope you find it a little bit interesting. I've really spent at this point a lifetime studying knife design and studying that balance between what you have to carry and how well it functions, how comfortable it is in your pocket, to how comfortable it is in your hand, to how well the blade works as an extension of your hand, and the mechanics of the locking systems and the mechanics and the geometry of everything that we do all factor into me being able to bring those designs to life and execute something that, again, pays homage to a tradition, but really steps it forward into sort of modern design with an eye towards the future. So C19 Omni, we're always making a new range of a variety of configurations of this piece. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time, and watching. And we'll still see you next time.